You guys will turn your mics on. Your little buttons. Yep. And we're going to be live on YouTube.
You want to take the roll, Diane?
I can.
Please.
Jim Gladback.
Here.
Greg Post.
Yep.
Mary Timberton. Here. Bill Waldron.
Here.
And Seth, there's an agenda in front of you that probably should have went to Greg. It's been a long time since we met last.
Yeah.
Over a year.
That was the last one.
Everybody read the
Yeah.
minutes? Everybody approved minutes?
I moved that we approve the minutes.
I second that.
Everybody say aye if you approve.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passed. What kind of information do we start with? Seth or?
What's on the thing? I don't really know. It says board member consideration. So, I guess that would be because everybody's terms are up, and since we haven't met in a long time due to coronavirus, we have the staff here. I don't know if everybody has this in this spot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I think everyone.
And then that's everybody that's expressed interest in either re-upping or filling the couple vacant spots.
Alright.
So it looks like all of our current members reapplied, as well as Caitlin Doherty. You have an email from her, Larry Davenport, and Ann Dare. So you actually have 6 open positions. We have 2 that Matt McGehee and Carson Felt both had expired last year, well, in 2019.
So we've got 2 slots to fill, is that?
Yes, along with reappointing the board again.
Unless you don't want one of them, then get both of them.
Now we are just making recommendations to go to the city, right?
Yes,
For their approval of.
I'm gonna put this, it'll be on their agenda tomorrow night, so.
Well, I like Larry Davenport. The other 2 people I do not know.
I know Caitlin very well.
Okay,
Well, I've flown with her several times, so
Okay.
I know her, I guess.
yes.
I know her that
Trust her
well.
to fly.
Does she have the controls while you're flying? Okay, then I guess that's.
Yeah, she's very interested in aviation.
Uh-huh.
She now works in Kansas City, and she's getting her rating and all that stuff is
Okay.
her goal. So I'm all for her because she needs all the help she can get.
Okay.
And she'll bring a lot of information for new people coming into the aviation industry.
he has reached out to me a couple times about, trying to do different things at the airport, so I feel like he'd be, very active in doing so.
Can I ask each member here how long you served on the board? Each one
I
of
don't
you?
know, I've been on all.
Forever?
It's been,
All your life?
well, not all my life, but,
For a while.
boy, time flies. I guess now about half of it anyway. No, that's not true. It's been a long time.
You're probably the longest serving board member on this board that we have.
Well,
And
yeah,
I'd say it was
know that.
probably Greg maybe, or Bill, one of the two
Well, I
of them.
was on it previously, and then
They
because
came
I
back
had a
on.
job up in Kansas City, I wasn't able to attend, so then I turned in my resignation
Right.
and then got back on. I guess it says on in 3 years. or
Yeah,
whatever
those
it
were
was.
that was just a term, so.
I've been back on that long.
I don't know any of these folks.
I don't know
Other than
who
you
knows
board
Ann
members.
Dare.
Excuse me?
I don't know Ann Dare. How's that pronounced?
I'm assuming.
And Deer, uh-huh.
Does anyone know?
I know her. I don't know too much about what she knows as far as airports are concerned, but I don't
She
know
wants to
anything
learn to
about
fly.
airports either, so.
If she wants to learn to fly, I'm gonna take her.
I know she would like to be active in, on serving on some of the boards.
She has applied for some other ones also.
Well, I'd like to see the Larry Davenport on it, cause he's a pilot. And this other Caitlin, if she's
going to be a pilot.
gonna be a pilot, I'd like to have her on there.
So somebody want to make a motion for the, the 4 current members plus those 2
Yeah.
to be appointed,
Yeah.
to be
You
recommended?
need a motion?
I do.
Okay. I move that we keep everybody that's applied to stay on it, and I also recommend, I move that we accept Caitlin Doherty and Larry Davenport.
Okay,
All in favor then?
I second it if we do that.
okay, yep.
I
No,
Aye. What's that?
no,
We got 3 ayes, 1 negative. Looks like we passed it.
I would make a motion that we, in that motion, I'm sorry, did we accept or name 2 other individuals? Or
Yeah,
did we
that's
just
what
say
he-
we need to fill 2 spots?
That's what he,
Yeah, he said to accept the current members that are on here and
Larry.
add Larry Davenport and
And
Caitlin
Caitlin.
Doherty.
Okay.
okay, what do we got next?
What was the next one on the list?
The hangar build locations.
Okay, so hangar bill location, I don't know if there's any like action that's actually needed or not, but I just wanted to let you know, we've had a gentleman, his name is, I didn't write it, Yancey, I'm trying to think of his first name. What was it? Bill? Anyways, Mr. Yancey, he owns a construction company, or a concrete company out of Kansas City. And he flies in quite regularly, he lives north of town. And he utilizes the airport and he flies in a Cirrus. Well, he's wanting to get right now he wants to move his Cirrus to Fort Scott and then eventually replace it with a Cirrus jet. So basically it's to take, the Cirrus and put a jet engine on the back, and it's like a really small jet.
Right.
So he's looking at potentially building a hangar, and to kind of recoup his costs, he's looking at the possibility of making it maybe a 3 to 4 unit hangar.
Mhm.
And then since he's expressed interest, and then we've also had interest from Sean Gones and another gentleman by the name of Ty Zines or Teens or something like that. He's got 2 planes, and then Sean, I believe he's tried to look at one of your planes, and he's been looking at other planes too. And so all 3 of them have expressed interest in possibly building hangars and then I suggest that maybe they go in together and build, because he was talking about the 3 to 4 unit thing, maybe something like that. So I just wanted to let you know that is a possibility, and my suggestions were, you know how we have the little taxiway that goes there by where Aaron's spray,
Yeah.
and where the T hangers used to be.
Right.
In that location, either one side or the other. If they go with the 3 to 4 unit, probably put it on the other side where it's the open warehouse area. And if they just go for one, probably use the foundation that's already there. I don't know if there's really any action that's needed. I just kind of wanted to update you on the possibility of that and see if there's any recommendations. You know, if you thought of a better location. I mean, that's right now with the plans. That's where potential T hangers and stuff would go.
I think that's probably the best
That's
location.
okay.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that, but they're gonna face them what direction though?
If it would, in my mind, they would be facing towards the taxiway, so they'd be able, because they couldn't go.
Towards
They
the
would
south.
to be towards the. If they're on the east side of the taxiway, it would be facing west. If it's on the west side where they used to be, they'd be facing east.
Okay, the reason why I'm asking is that at least you're not facing them to the north,
Yeah.
because you know how it freezes
Yeah.
at the big hangar. But I would like to see if they could consider putting like 2 airplanes back to back with the openings to the east and the west, so that we can continue to add on more hangars on the north side.
That could be maybe on the west side of the taxiway, but on the east side you have that drainage ditch that kind of veers off kind of the east.
I know what you're talking about.
So you wouldn't really be able to have them go out east.
No, aren't you gonna put it far enough back though?
It would be far enough back, but there's still the drainage ditch, so you wouldn't be able to have them come out both sides. It would only still be able to come
Well,
out.
I'm saying putting it way back to the north.
Well, yeah,
And
then you have
making
to-
enough room so that we can eliminate that problem about the ditch.
The only thing with that is you'd have to then add taxiway to be able to go out if you go that far.
So
Well, I'm just saying, yeah.
it can be grass
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah.
But
My main thing was
what if
just,
they want to expand later?
Yes.
That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Then you can just keep building right on north.
and
Okay.
if I remember correctly, the plans show a taxiway going out further, like you're suggesting, and then rows of T hangers on both sides. But
No, I would do them the other way. I'd split them, go that way. Because it's okay, I guess, having them face each other. What you can do is you can build them back to back. And you can get more airplanes in there.
Yeah.
And then if you need to, go maybe further east or further west and set another row in there. I'm talking big time. We get a lot of airplanes in here. But I've been here 30 years and it's always been a problem.
Mhm.
It's always been a problem.
And
if
and
there's
that's
somebody interested, then let's make it so we can add on later.
Yeah.
And give them enough room. And one more thing is, I know they got little airplanes, but you should probably try to get them to make it big enough for twins to go in.
Well, that's one of the things he was discussing, you know, because he's crunching the numbers right now to see what would be feasible economically and everything, to see whether or not it'd be, you know, like one bigger hangar or a bigger one and a couple smaller ones for smaller or what. But my main thing was just to try to bring it up and getting ideas on what, you know, what could work the best. So.
Bigger hangar, we already have that problem where we've got too many airplanes in one hangar and somebody's always sitting in front of somebody else.
Well, he wasn't wanting a bigger hangar like, you know, the bigger hangars that we have. It'd just be bigger than just a normal T hangar where you fit a 172 or something.
Yeah.
Slightly bigger where you could fit a 20.
And I know T hangars are cheap, but that's just my opinion. I've been out there for 30 years, so that's what brought me to Fort Scott was the airport. And of course the job.
And speaking about proposed building hangars, whatever happened to our deal on the equipment hangar?
Well, the equipment hangar, it was put on the back burner due to Corona and all the financial. Basically, we went out for bid, and then it turned out that with everything, with Corona and shortfalls and such, we were trying to make sure that we had money for everything, and that was not deemed a priority at the moment. So it's still a possibility, but just waiting on being able to fund it.
And how would we fund it?
I don't know, not.
I know that the city at one time, we had the money for it 2 or 3 times, and then it went away.
Yeah, so those are capital improvement dollars is where that was earmarked.
Right.
And so that would be a question for finance, but we can get you an answer. And then in the reply to the board, Susan isn't here to answer that directly. But our capital budget did get cut multiple times in 2020.
Well, I'm just curious, at one time we were waiting on the fire truck deal to get done, and it was on something else. And I know 3 times I was promised the next meeting we were gonna have, and then it never did happen. And that's, of course,
We go out for bid on that?
We did, we
Yes.
came back, and as it was out for bid, when, everything kind of
Okay.
went crazy.
I thought we had gotten approval to go out for bid.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay. And it says the next thing is bill pay changes.
Okay, so bill pay changes, the process for how we're, and once again, this is more about information, see if you have any ideas, because some of you are users of the airport. Right now, we have a very chaotic, is the word I guess I would use, a way of billing and tracking every user. Like, there's some users that are set up and I run a credit card for them every month. There's some that they come in and pay checks. Some people have direct deposit. Other people come and pay the city here. So it's just, there's not a good way of tracking and doing all the bill pay. So what I talked to Susan about is we're going to move everything from the airport to City Hall. So there would be the option of doing direct deposit like I already have. You can come in and pay by check or mail in a check. But basically it's going to go from everything being paid at the airport to being able to utilize the software that they have here to do all the bill pay. That way I don't have to track it. And I mean, because sometimes, I mean, you guys have seen, you come in and there's a check sitting there, and if I don't see it or whatever happens, I'm gone or something, it may not be in on time. Then with COVID, there's people that aren't coming out to the airport as much, so things are getting late, and it's just been kind of really hard to track because once I submit who's supposed to pay what, I don't know if somebody's already paid City Hall or what. So we're just trying to streamline and make everything more efficient. So basically, everything's going to get moved to City Hall, and so I won't be receiving checks and all that stuff. And then the other thing where we discussed it, and I will no longer be tracking fuel charges. So if you want me to do any sort of fuel, you'd have to have a credit card on file, or you have to use the credit card machine yourself. That's pretty much the two big changes as far as the paying goes. So does anybody have any ideas on how that would work, or anything to make it better? That was the idea.
Get a new credit card machine. I'm sorry. I've used it several times. It doesn't work. And I've even used 2 different cards and it doesn't work.
And that is one thing we're in the process. Once we get the grant, hopefully this spring, it will be replaced. But
Good.
I know you had the issue the other day. What ended up being, was it the emergency thing, like I said?
One time it was, but the last time I did it, I couldn't get the thing to take my swipe my card. I tried a different card, it wouldn't take it. Finally, we used one of his cards, and it worked. So, it should be, I use that card, that's the only card I use. And that's the only place it gets used. Well, it's like you folks are wanting to keep everything in one spot. If it's for the airplane, it's paid by that card. So, anyway, I went off the track. Suggestion. So we can still pay for it with our credit card, right?
You can either
Same way.
pay for it with your credit card, or like, how you've had me fuel before, your credit card is on file. You can say, hey, can you fill me up? And I just immediately swipe instead of keeping it to the end of the month and putting it on a bill. It's just going to be swiped, and I'll have your receipt. And so it's essentially the same process, except I wouldn't be keeping it for the whole month, so there could be no no loss, you know, like don't lose a receipt or whatever, it's paid for right there.
Yeah, now is somebody charging fuel and then paid at the end of the month? Is
There
that,
are some people who do it.
so you could give them a city credit card and let them swipe that, then it automatically goes to the city, and then they pay at the end of the month.
Well, that's not, I mean,
I don't quite understand why they aren't using their card anyway.
well, that's what I'm trying to eliminate, that's the way it was done before I got here, I'm trying to streamline processes, make everything efficient. Yes, I'm doing.
No.
Oh, you can't set up, I thought maybe.
I have one question, and I'm one of these people that charge the fuel and pay at the end of the month. My question to you is, I have a nationwide fuel card I use on my tractor trailer, and it's on my business. That's a WEX card. And for some reason, that machine won't take the WEX. And they say it's to do with your server. And well, I never did bring it up with you because if, you know, and I'm just saying, can we see if we can get this WEX card where it works?
Yeah, I'll talk to Apple and see what we can do, and you can go with me afterwards and kind of explain to me what it is, I can go, you know, more knowledgeable than I.
Okay.
But that was basically what it was, I just kind of wanted to see if there's any more, kind of like the one before, to see if there's any, you know, improvements or suggestions to kind of make that process a little better. I know the finance department was having issues, because, you know, I turned it in, and then they'd be wondering where stuff was, because, you know, somebody paid it late or whatever, and I'm like, I don't know, they haven't given it to me, so we're just trying to eliminate any lost steps.
Sure.
Is there any way we can put a building around the machine so we can keep it warmer in the winter time? I read that. I know that's impossible. Just thought I'd throw it out there.
I guess what you're doing is fine.
And I'll talk to Apple and see what they can do, because they're always asking for suggestions on how to make things better, and that may be one of their things that they're not aware of or something, so.
I don't know if you wanna talk about that, the pedestal upgrade, but I mean, it does seem like a substantial upgrade as far as the fuel and pedestal. So the self-serve.
The self-serve.
Yeah.
credit card.
That's what
That's
you're
the one
calling
that
the
looked like
pedestal, okay.
the grant money should pay for the replacement, so. Seemed like when I was reading the specs on the new one, there were certainly at least connection issues would be better.
Yeah, because sometimes you'll sit there and you swipe your card, and you'll wait a minute because it's on dial-up internet, and then other times you swipe and it's 5 seconds, so it's kind of weird.
And if, when I follow up with, the information I could send, if you guys want the specs of that new fuel pedestal. We did submit the fuel pedestal specs with the grant application, get that to you guys.
And, I'm a little bit agey to be climbing up on that ladder, and we get some kind of a platform that's on wheels. Now, I'm serious on this one.
Well, we have one of those, but it's got a bad rung on it. So, I mean, we could take it to Tom and see if we can get it welded so it'd be better. But we actually have, it stands about yay tall.
That,
and
well,
it's on
we're just
wheels.
heading for a lawsuit if we're gonna keep using that tractor, and it's basically for high wing airplanes. I guess I could trade the airplane for the low wing.
Why don't you do that?
Seems like
I've got one I'll trade you. Billy, I got one where I'll trade you.
Most of the places have that for basically liability issues, you know, it's easier to get up the stairway for us old guys. Plus, it's easier to fall up that ladder. It's not a very safe. We used to have one. I don't know what happened to it when I was way back, like I said, 30 years ago. I've been here that long.
Yeah, that ladder's there, and then, like I said, we do have it's like a yellow rolling, you know, kind of like a jetway ladder type deal. But it's got a bad step on it, so we'd have to take it and get it welded. But we could.
And I think it probably needs new wheels.
It
If I'm
probably-
not, because
yeah.
I think when you step on it, that's the brakes for it.
It could be, I haven't
I'm
never
sure
really
that's
stood on it,
all
so-
worn out, so you might look into getting a new one so that, you know, figure out what it's gonna cost to fix if you have to replace all the wheels underneath it. Or, You know, what is the price of one? You know, something that's, works at an airport.
Where are we with other grants and stuff for the runway and things?
Still in process, yep.
Okay.
So still going through the FAA will get a final, and then once that gets final, then we bring it back to you guys. So still just, Olson's still working on it and then submitting everything from the public hearing back through the FAA.
And what do we have to do? Do we have to do the road and the acquisition of the ground before the grant or after the grant? I know it's-
No, we are actually, we're treating those as separate projects,
Okay,
so that one is not contingent on the other.
okay, I guess I would say, where are we with that? The road, okay, when you say that one is not contingent on the other, is this the appropriation for the land and the road going around it, or
And we
is that
can't-
separate?
We actually cannot go around the end of the runway.
I know we can't, but we have to go, all the way down to the next road
Right.
and across.
Yeah.
Where are we with that particular? Is that not,
Well, so the way the FAA wants to see it is so you can't have non-adjacent land that's part of your airport project, the runway project. So we separated, the new road would be a separate project, not an aviation project. And then the runway is then still obviously acquisition of property and the expansion.
okay, where are we with the road?
The road hasn't moved, because the FAA process is longer. So once we get through the FAA process,
Then we go to the road.
then I'll begin to go through the other steps of, what that conceptual roadway study looks like. Where does what are the funding resources that we can apply for?
I see, okay.
And then it will have to get some administration prioritization from the city administration on, yes, we want to build the road, or do we want to write in that we would build the road should a federal grant for the expansion come through. It's, kind of like a cart and a horse type thing.
Right,
Is there any harm building the road, even if we don't ever expand the runway? My personal opinion is no. I feel like we could use another north-south road, just given all the incremental traffic that's on the west side of the lake. And then after hearing conditions of Hackberry, then clearly that would be a county prioritization to upgrade and to improve Hackberry Road. So, just completely, I know they're connected,
But they're not.
but we don't want the FAA to see it as a connection, because then we would have to own that.
I
That would
see.
all be, so.
So the FAA thing, the acquisition of the ground will be at that time when you get the FAA grant?
That's actually a different, it's all part of that project, but once basically we get through the step of the environmental, then we can go through, and there's a different division within the FAA that I work with that will help us acquire property.
I see,
And that, I know we can put the acquisition of the property contingent on grant funding.
I see.
That way we don't own a bunch of acres that we may or may never put a runway on.
Right, I understand.
When the first meeting that I came to here with the board, I asked about exploring other options for the roadway. One of which was doing a depressed roadway with a bridge for the runway. Is that ever, I was told that we were way too early in the process to even think about something like that, but now that roads have been considered, is that something that was explored?
You mean to put the road under the runway, is that right?
That's
Like they do
exactly-
at Memphis.
Yeah.
They got major,
Yes.
heavy airplanes going over those roads.
Denver. Yeah.
So we used a grant for the conceptual roadway study that was done by Olson. And they looked at several different places for the traffic to move. I don't believe that they looked at going under because of the density of the rock.
Yeah, I would think that would be
So,
very expensive,
Would be
but
cost
that's,
prohibitive.
I like
We've
your
got
idea.
we've got a lot of rock we're gonna have to be moving out to build a road going south,
That's
have
true
to-
also, either way, there's a lot
Yeah.
of rock.
just.
I can certainly get
Depending
you a
on the-
copy of the
the-
conceptual road. I can link out a copy of the entire roadway study they did.
Well, if they didn't consider that, it doesn't do me any.
Oh, well, you know what, I don't remember.
I mean,
I
that
don't
would be
know that they
something
said
that could be
no.
another
I
attraction
can
to
tell
the
you it's
county.
cost prohibitive, but I will get an answer from the experts.
Thank you.
Okay, and I believe if you're all done, that's not the next one. I forgot to hand these out earlier. So this one I believe would probably require some action on your part. So I was made aware that every year the city charges, or they go and they review their fees that they charge the public or users or whatever the state may be. So some of these fees are already being charged. And some of them are a slight update. So I guess we would need your approval because they're going to be going before the city commission in mid-January. So if you look at them, I have been charging an after hours fee, but I'm not sure if it was actually in the thing or not. The nightly storage is the same as it has been. So once again, it's just making it official. Spot rental is going to go from 70 to 75, and then hanger 1 is going to go to 100, and hanger 2 is going to go to 300. So that would be some of them. Most of them are the same, and then it's like 3. The last 3 are updated. The first 3 is
70 to 75. Hanger 1 is the blue hanger or the
it's the beige as you're coming in the gate.
beige? Okay, is going, and what, it's going from what to what?
It's going from 70 to 100 because it's a whole hanger, not just a spot.
And then hanger 2 is
It's bricks.
the blue one?
The old terminal brick.
Overall brick.
Because it's a whole hanger and an office, kitchen, bathroom, and
Okay. That was?
because I did that. The other part I forgot to add. So I did a part of the study, and it was about 60, I think 60 or 65 airports, and they all submitted how much they were paying for hanger space and spots, fee hangers, all that. And our spot rentals were pretty much right on. This was right before COVID, and our hangers themselves were low. So that's why the whole hanger rentals are going up. And the spots are going to go up $5 because 1, I don't know how long they've been at the same, and 2, from what I've been hearing after the survey due to COVID, everybody's raising the prices a little bit to kind of compensate for lost fuel sales and that stuff. The 75 is pretty much, I think, pretty accurate. And then our hangers were low.
And then when you're saying spot rental, that's like outdoors?
It's like in Ellis Hangar where
You're
you rent a spot.
inside,
Yeah, you rent a spot.
just for the night?
No, if you look at number 2, nightly storage, a single is $10 a night and $20 per phone. And then the spot rental would be like your 172, it's $75 a month instead of 70.
Okay, so it's, I don't mind it going up.
And that's I don't know how long it's been that way, but it was 70 was pretty much spot on, and then from what I've been hearing from I think Newton and Salina, I think there was a third one, we were on the KA board, we were talking about it, and they were saying that they were raising theirs, and so $5 is probably pretty accurate with everybody else. Maybe you want to keep that. I guess that was, if you have any input.
When would these fees go into effect?
She has to take them in January, so I would say it would probably be, well, the other fees that are there, I mean, they're already in effect. It's just making them official of record. The increase in the other ones, I'd say probably in March. That would give me time to let everybody know and give them plenty of time to plan. I feel, and if you guys feel like it needs to be extended a little bit, April. You give us, yeah, 60. I don't know. I just feel like if it's December now and I start letting people know that's 90 days. That hey, this could potentially be passed by the city commission. So that's kind of why I was bringing it on, so you guys could look over and see if that seems reasonable and what a time frame would be, and of course you have that.
This is maybe a little off the subject, but it's still pertaining to the hangars. We still have too much junk in the airplane hangars.
I'm working on that. I mean, you've seen how much I've got out there.
Well, you know, everybody's, very hard to, I have to move 3 or 4 airplanes when I go in, and I don't like that at all. That brings me to another thing, and we'll finish this one, and then I want to ask you about something.
Okay, I don't have a problem with the rate increase. Even though mine is going up quite a bit, but that's okay. I can live with that. I'd like to have 90 days anyway.
That's perfectly fine. That's what I was saying. Let me know if you can do that or more.
Want a motion on this?
Diane, over to Susan.
Yep, let's do a motion.
Okay, I have a motion to accept these rates, charges. Have
I'll
a
make the
second?
motion. Make it, or are you making it?
Whatever.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor of raising the rates?
Aye.
Okay.
I think that was the last thing. So, Bill, what was it you?
There's somewhere in this, whatever, I didn't remember to bring mine because I got it all underlined and everything else. When's our next meeting? Let's not make it a year from now. We're not doing that again.
We're past the initial stages of COVID. I think we can do a little more regular.
Hopefully we just, next time we meet, we don't have to wear masks.
I guess it's about the liability of moving other people's airplane.
It says in there you're not supposed to move other people's airplanes.
And there I just said that just to get mine out, I have to move 2 or 3 to get, well, I have to move 2 to get, sometimes 3 to get the Bonanza out. It's not my airplane, but I can't get it out. We've also gone through, you weren't here, but someone moved the Bonanza and they broke it. And they shouldn't have been touching it.
No, they're not supposed to. And that's why it says it in the lease, you're not supposed to move it.
Yeah, but then when we do have to, what are we supposed to do? Call you and have you come move it
Well,
every time
yeah.
I want to go with
I
a
mean,
student?
that's part of the problem of being in a community hangar is there's so many planes that you kind of have to plan in advance. Otherwise, it's just, we've got to do it after hours or whatever.
Sometimes
But
I have pop-up trips.
I understand that.
So
But if somebody's got a good idea on how,
is that what you want us to do? Is call you?
I would prefer. I mean,
I mean,
try to set
I'd be
everything
tickled
up.
to death to do that because I'd rather you did it than I did it.
I mean, as much as I hate it, but I would prefer that being done. But I mean, typically I try to set them up so it's you moving your plane, or you and your student moving their plane, or you moving the Bonanza. Everybody else can kind of get out. The only people would be Roy or Aaron, and they typically let me know in advance.
Yeah.
So I try to have it set up so you're in the kind of the middle console, so you can move those planes, and then everybody else that moves. So there's really not a good answer to what I'd like to know
Because of the Citabria, I don't like touching it. It's such a pretty airplane. I don't want anything to happen to it. Mine is kind of old. It's got a few nicks anyway. But
I mean, the thing says you're not supposed to move, and I won't say that people don't move from time to time, but I know like Paul, he won't move other people's planes. But I can't stop him. If something happens, I can see it on the camera. But other than that, I mean, they're not supposed to do this.
okay.
That's about all I can do. And it's just kind of a bad situation. There's so many planes in there.
Because by the time you get off, somebody calls me and says, "Hey, can you go flying tonight?" It's like, oh yeah, but I'll probably have to move 10 airplanes. So a lot of times I just have, no, I'm not going to do that because it's just so inconvenient for everybody to do.
That's why we need
I know
hangars.
when you went on vacation, and the other gentleman that's helping us, I think Josh, Jason, there was nobody here to do anything. So we need to have something.
That was
You
kind
can't
of
do that at the
it
same
was
time.
kind of a weird situation because that Saturday he was helping his dad move, so he requested that day off, and I'd already had tickets. I was going to Arizona and all that stuff, so we kind of hoped that nobody would have anything that Saturday, but typically there is somebody there on Saturday, except for like on January January, February, we typically move into our Monday through Friday, but I'll be here if something, because usually during that time, there's not a whole lot of activity on Saturday. But that weekend just happened to be kind of one of those, if something happens in a weird way, because his dad was moving and he needed help moving, so that was the one Saturday.
I don't even remember what trip that was right now, but I do remember now that when we arrived Saturday morning, the door to the office from the east side, the east end door, was open. And I said, I'm not going in there till we call the police. We called the police. Did you get any of that?
I didn't hear a word about that. No one knows
Because
about
they
it.
tried to get a hold of you on the phone, and they couldn't get a hold of you. And that's what they said.
I was gonna say, because I didn't get a call or voicemail, no.
We had the police out, and somebody had put a rock under the door so it couldn't shut. A small rock, that's all it took. Because it goes against the pavement, and it kept from going shut.
I didn't hear
So,
anything. No
so you
voicemail.
never knew that.
No.
And I didn't think it was a very safe thing for, why is it open like that?
Yeah, I have no idea why it was open.
So that needs to be addressed, and somebody needs to check it more often, I guess.
So you're saying east of the east side of the terminal or the east side of
The east side of the office going east out of the building.
So what
Towards the blue
that
building.
little open
Classroom.
Classroom, yeah.
Yeah, that door was open, and that's the way the police entered, with guns drawn. Because they didn't know what was in there, and I said, I'm not going in there until somebody tells me what's going on.
Yeah, no one called.
Because I knew both you folks were out of town, and, we needed some proof that it was left open by someone.
That's crazy. They should at least left a voicemail. I didn't get nothing.
Yeah. Okay. So, guess that's all
Is
the
that the sheriff's or the police?
policeman came out.
We can address it staffing.
Okay. I think it was.
Is
I didn't see their cars, they were blue uniforms. Sheriff wears gray.
okay, is the airport, is it police or is it sheriff?
It's technically police because it's city property. So when you call them, if you call the sheriff, they'll probably just refer you to, they'll let the police know.
Yeah, I just never did know.
It's one dispatch number.
Yeah, it's the same dispatch. I just, didn't make any difference, I'm just curious.
Yeah, because I called the sheriff and they had the, yeah.
So I have one more.
Okay.
I just have one thing that will be on the commission agenda tomorrow night. So unless you want to talk about Hyman Brothers. Okay, so Aaron Phillips is going to be selling his agribusiness to Hyman Brothers. Am I pronouncing that right? Heinen Brothers. They actually, I did a little bit of research on them. They actually have over 30 locations in 5 states. So they're a little bit bigger operation than just what Aaron was doing. But owned obviously by 2 brothers. And they have a lot of other ancillary services in other locations. This, I believe, would just be the ag operation that Aaron has. But in doing so, this acquisition began back in May. They are interested in bringing a portable fuel tank on site and then fueling themselves. There is a provision within the FAA that is called a grant assurance that states that the airport must allow self-fueling. So we cannot prohibit them from bringing their own fuel on site. What we can do is charge a flow fee. So tomorrow night, the commission will see a fuel flow fee agreement from their attorney that the city attorney has viewed. Susan and Seth and I worked together on coming up with a dollar amount and polled other airports to see what they do with their ag sprayers. And the agreement states that it would be 10 cents a gallon. And there'll be some limitations on the size and the placement of the tank for safety restrictions. So that is me explaining it as a non-aviation person. And I've got copies of the grant assurances too that the city commission will see as part of the requirement. In order to basically maintain FAA compliant, we have to allow them to fuel their own plane. So I don't know if you have other things to add on that. It's been a long, drawn-out project, unfortunately.
Is that just so that they've got plenty of fuel available when they need it?
Mhm.
Is that?
And it's what they've done in other, it's what they do in other locations.
Probably convenience too, because can't they, if they can set it nearer to their airplane, they don't block off
Yes.
our
Correct.
going to the, now is it on wheels, this tank, or is it gonna be placed?
Are you familiar with Aaron's tank that he has?
I didn't even know that he had one.
Okay, well, basically it's a trailer with a big tank on it, and it's
Okay.
got
I thought that
a
was
generator.
chemicals in there, I never even paid attention.
It's a trailer with a big tank on it, and it's got a generator, he fires it up and it pumps on his tank.
Okay, all right, as long as it can be moved, I thought maybe it might have to be stationary.
They're originally wanting to put in their own tanks, and I basically told them, like, hey, can you do a portable tank that make everything easy? But one, because I didn't want to, set up, because they're, basically, since the hangar is right there, is little one, they were wanting to kind of take up that space, and like, well, we're trying to use that for future hangars. And so we
Yeah.
didn't want to lock in ourselves,
Right.
because then you get containment and all that other stuff.
Yeah,
And so I was like, can you just do this? And I said, yeah, we can do it. We do it all the time,
I
so.
wish they hadn't put that hanger there.
Well, the other thing is the grant assurance is the way that that reads is everything has to be consistent and fair. And so if we would allow an operation to bring their own tank on, then we're kind of shooting ourselves in fuel revenue because we can't prohibit from anybody else bringing their own permanent tanks on either.
Yeah, I
And
understand
then,
that,
yeah,
and
so, yeah.
I see what we open ourselves up to.
Right, so this at least allows us some revenue back on a flow fee, and then limits the capacity and the amount.
Because I know Wardcraft will be the next one to want to do that.
Sorry,
I said, I know Wardcraft will be the next
Absolutely.
one that'll want to do that, and we lose fuel
they've
sales.
already asked, yeah.
So they're going to go fill this tank up and bring the tank in every time they need fuel? Or are you gonna be able to pump and fill their tank from your,
They bring their own fuel.
so how are you gonna know how many gallons they run through?
That's part of the process we're gonna have to work out on what, like, if they're gonna have to check in every time they bring it in or something, so. We're still working out those details. They've done it lots of places, so I'm sure there's a process that they're.
It'll also be, like, we won't really know how many gallons, if they're bringing their own on and they're pumping themselves, so we're gonna have to work out kind of the details of the agreement, but they have to settle up then on how much they pumped out.
That's why I'm telling you that you should be pumping out yours into there,
Well,
then you know what the flow is.
That's the problem with the FAA is I can't do that. They set it up this way, and so that's, our hands are tied.
So the FAA is in control of our
Well,
airport.
no, not really. It allows you to be in control. So how it reads is, will not exercise or grant any right or privilege which operates to prevent basically any person from performing services on its own aircraft with its own employees. And the services are including to, but not limited to maintenance, repair, and fueling. So.
Well, the only thing I hate about it is we're gonna lose the revenue off the deal, and 10 cents a gallon is, we would be making considerably more, probably around 50 cents to $1.
How
That we'll
about
be losing.
25 cents? Let's do that. We can change it.
Well, I'm not gonna say that it can't be changed. Right now, it's on the agenda at 10 cents, and that's what, and I wish Susan was able to join us, but that's what, and a lot of it, so, let's see, it was 8.5 cents a gallon at one of the airports, and it was, but they had an annual permit fee, which I know we haven't really necessarily discussed, but, the other one was 20 cents a gallon, but no other additional. So. And our consultant said that on average, it's 8 to 10 cents is what she's seen in the past.
Well, I know I don't use a lot of fuel, but I sure want to set up my tank. I'm serious.
No,
It's,
Yeah.
it's a difference between, I don't even know what we're charging.
40, it's about, you'd pay about 40 cents a gallon.
If you want to know the truth, there's no fuel too high for me to have a full tank.
Yeah.
I don't fly empty. doesn't work.
So is this a policy, the 10 cents, is that gonna be the policy for anyone in the future going forward? We're setting that.
Oh,
So have we done really good adequate research to know that 10
That's
cents
finance,
is a big number?
It will do finance.
A couple of
I mean, let's see if.
airports that you're checking to me doesn't sound like enough comparison.
I agree with you.
Well,
Yes,
I mean,
I
they
do
would each
too.
have to enter their own agreement, and so it's not like this one, I mean, like, so it has to each go in, and then they have to agree to the limited capacity, it has to be a portable tank, and that, and all of the setbacks with the, I don't remember all the safety precautions and things like that, so. But, let's see, there's also, if they don't settle up, there's interest built in so that that accrues, so that we get actually interest off of that. They have to pay within 30 days. I'm trying to think, like, there's a lot of legal speak within this agreement. But knowing that we can't prohibit it and knowing that we still obviously want to protect ourselves from not just becoming a non-existent on fuel revenue, we think that this is a solid agreement, you know, that would help Aaron. That's the other thing, the Tynan Brothers is like, this piece of it this is a deal breaker from what we've heard.
Yeah, but what I don't understand is I don't care about the deal breakers. What I understand is if we, the city, loses the revenue,
there you
okay?
go.
And the other thing is, we do this, then we're opening ourselves up to, the other deals. You know, they're gonna be 10 cents. And I think it's just too low. I think it ought to be at least 20. And that's just my opinion, and we have no authority to do anything here. But I just feel like that, Boardcraft will be coming in and say, well, you did it for 10 cents for them, do it for 10 cents for us. And, you know, we're not getting, the airport or the city is not getting the revenue.
I agree. I
It
think
does,
we have
and it
to
does state in
set-
here that they would provide their own forklift equipment and a temporary fuel tank storage. So, I mean, I don't believe that everybody will be doing it, but I can go back to finance and check on the fee.
She's gonna come in here in a minute. She's back.
Oh, she's back. Okay. So there may be some room in there. The other thing that I saw this went back and forth between their attorney and our attorney for quite some time. So when I finally got a more final, I did notice that we didn't have an annual permit fee. And, I'm not sure if that was requested or missed, or if it was in one of the versions that was X'd out. But that was the one that I noticed on the airport that had it really low, well, lower at 8.5 cents a gallon. They did have an annual permit fee, so. So Susan Bancroft is our director of finance. We have not met her yet, so.
So what else, what's the question?
The question is, they feel like that we're opening ourselves up to too much, revenue loss by only charging 10 cents per gallon for the fuel fee.
And I can see that, I can see that as well. I think the problem is that we can't keep them from doing this. That's the problem. And
Well,
so-
I understand you can't keep them doing it, but you charge them for doing it.
Yeah.
You know,
This is a pretty standard rate that is being charged by.
okay, but what's gonna happen? Boardcraft's gonna come in, they're gonna say, we wanna do this too, we want a dime, you know, just like these people getting a dime. I think it's too low, and I think we're shooting ourselves in the foot, and that's my opinion.
And I will say, these are also annual agreements, so, this is not something, I mean, now we would have to renew the agreement, but we could go back and change the amount, and or further limit the portability of the fuel, if we felt like, you know, basically they were bringing in something that was a lot, but I don't remember what the.
In the market,
Yeah.
I think the markup on the fuel is for his time, and the maintenance of the fuel pedestal. I mean, there's a lot of things that are factored into that markup.
The
Not
fuel
just-
pedestal is factored in the 10 cents a gallon?
No. I'm talking about the markup that we have on our fuel.
Okay,
So it's covering your wages and things like that. You're not gonna have that if, we're not gonna be administering that anymore.
I understand it.
So you have to take some of that into consideration as well. And so we say about 5% of your time is probably spent on fuel and claims. And so that's how that was derived.
Okay,
But once again, you were talking about 10 cents with the fee at the other airport, right?
They were,
Yeah, I wanna make sure.
yeah, so what Seth did is we did a lot of research on this, and the KA, we went out to the other Kansas airports, and a couple of them responded with what their agreements were. The 8.5 cent, I don't recall exactly the airport, but I do remember it being a lower fee, but they have an annual permit fee. I did not ask what the annual permit fee was, but we could certainly ask that, if you think that that might protect us a little bit more, and or ask for more per gallon. I mean, this has not gone to the city yet.
the amount per gallon is what bothers me.
Amount per gallon,
Because-
okay.
That's what bothers me, and,
Okay.
and I can see this going down the toilet, because
Yeah.
Woodcraft's gonna want this, and then you've taken a bunch of our fuel cells away. And, you know, I feel like it's shooting ourselves in the foot financially.
I don't know where the other airport is, but there's airports out there that charge less fuel. For instance, up at the power supply place where they make that nuclear place.
Burlington?
Yeah, they charge less for their fuel to get people to come near that thing. So I'm
I
wondering
will
if
tell you
this,
that there was Newton and Salina were the two that replied, but I don't recall which was which on the cost. So one was Newton and.
I know where, I've landed there once. I know approximately where it's at, so I got my Wichita.
You did, okay.
Yeah.
But I don't.
If there was a permitting fee, would you be more comfortable with the price per gallon, or you don't care about the permit fee?
The permit fee will be
Okay.
nominal. It'll be $50 or $100 or something. That's not gonna generate you much revenue.
They're trying to get something for nothing.
And,
you
and
know,
it's just like me. Now, on these hangar rent, I took a 40% increase, and I'm not complaining. I'm paying it, okay? So I figure everybody ought to pony up.
That's a good point.
we're gonna have to raise our prices because of the corona. I mean, I don't.
Yeah,
care
that's
what
a
you
good, yeah,
blame
but
it
the
on,
corona, yeah, it's a
But,
corona's fault.
we gotta make up that revenue somehow.
So Susan and I can work, I mean, I don't know how we justify a higher.
I'll just have to go back to legal and see what they suggest. We can't press ourselves out of the market either. And the thing is our fuel cells, we won't be buying as much fuel either. Probably in both cases. And that's a good majority of what the airport budget is fuel cells. It's fuel, just buying fuel. That's a large part of what our expenditures are, is just
You just said pushing us out of the market because of that. The big thing that really hurt us is we don't have that long runway, and we pushed ourselves out of a big market, because aviation is very high dollar stuff.
Yeah.
That's what's hurting. That's what got that hangar built, that office building built out there. So when I came over, it was to help the community, and that brought that big school in for a while. That didn't last, but there was problems later on that caused it to leave. So, I don't know. I'd rather see the longer runway than somebody coming in and getting free fuel. Or lower everybody's price. I want it for 10 cents a gallon or whatever that is you're talking about. So, I don't know. I'm done.
they're having to pay for, I guess they're having to pay for their fuel. They're just paying us on top of what they're paying for their fuel.
Yeah,
But they're buying it at a big
bulk
discount.
rate.
They're buying on a
They're
bulk.
buying it for less than what you're buying.
It's just, I'm in the trucking business, and I have fuel contracts. And if I guarantee these fuel companies, I'll buy so many thousand gallons a month, which I do, I get a maybe 10, 15, 20 cent discount. And that's what they're doing. 'Cause I don't,
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I do understand.
Yeah. Well, and I wish that we had more, wiggle room on that. On the grant assurances, we do have to allow them that, but what we put in place was the fact it's portable and, it's not a permanent tank, like Seth had said with containment. But we can look at it.
what I'm saying, who come up with the 10 cents?
It's a calculation based off of the time
What you're
we
talking about, the
spent.
airport.
No, it's a calculation based off of our budget.
Okay, our budget. Okay. I guess I look at things the wrong way because I'm profit motivated.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we can be just to a point.
I don't think that will generate enough money to make a difference whether we have them or we don't have them. I really don't.
I would just like to make sure that the 10 cents is a competitive figure with more than just one or two airports.
We could see if there's anybody out there that even has this type of an agreement. That's part of the problem. It was difficult to even find. I think we had one other one. Wichita was another one we kind of looked at.
Yeah, I think they're going to reach out to the people that they have in this one and Wichita.
How many did you reach out to, sir?
There's 15 people on board, so the third of them.
We can do some more research. I'm concerned with slowing that up. So we'll have to
probably get on that very quickly.
Okay, what do we need to do next?
Well, I got one more little thing. Does the hangar still, if you put up a hangar in 100 years, they go back to the airport anyway?
Not 100, I don't believe.
20 years.
Was it 20?
Yeah, it's 20 years. You don't.
Well, wasn't, I don't know, I don't remember. Just
It's either 20 or 25 is what the one I saw.
because I thought with that big blue hangar, it was the 100-year thing.
No,
It's 20.
I think it's 20 or 25 years. And that's the reason I didn't build a hangar here, because I wasn't gonna own it. I built one in Florida, and I'm thinking about building one in Pleasant, because I could own the ground and I could sell the hangar at a different time. I'd build a hangar here if I could own it, but I don't want to spend $50,000 and not own it, and then give it away 20 years from now. Even though I probably won't be flying, I might not even be here 20 years from now. But that's irrelevant. My estate would be.
Can I have some introductions, because I don't know everyone sitting at the table.
I'm Greg Post.
Okay. You live up the road from my parents,
Oh, really?
Karen and Ed Peary.
Oh, Karen. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yep,
Oh,
I'm Susan.
okay, I know who you. I didn't know who you were, but I knew of you.
Yes.
There you go.
And I know you.
You do.
I do.
How?
Jim gets
let me
that a
ask you this.
Hal?
Yeah.
Sammy was our babysitter for a very long time.
Oh,
Yeah.
how you doing?
Yeah.
Well, that's,
I'm Bill Waldron.
Okay.
I came here about 30 years ago. I was the chief flight instructor for out at the airport before the offices were built out at the airport.
Yes. And I know your daughter Angie for a while.
Yep.
Mary Pipperton.
Okay, I don't know you, but I know the name.
She lives right by the airport.
Okay.
I've worked with her, so,
Okay.
or
And
when
then
she
they
worked.
voted to, total openings, so voted to renew the floor and add Larry Davenport and Caitlin Woody.
Okay, good. Good.
I don't know if setting another meeting is next on your agenda?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have nothing else.
Was that Ann approved or not?
There were only 6 openings.
Okay, so these 4 and 2 members. Okay.
So because this is probably a contract that needs to be settled for this company, is it possible that we could meet before the end of the year again, just to get this piece of it done? Let us do a little bit more research, real heavy for the next week, and then maybe we can bring you back some different information.
You bet.
Better tell those other airports to raise their price, because that's what needs to be done.
I
It really
understand.
does. And there's a reason why they're so low, and we don't know that reason.
They're probably, maybe they do have
Try
an
doing
additional
this in
fee.
Chicago, you'll be paying $8 a gallon.
Yeah, that's
I've
right.
flown in there many times, but
Yeah.
like I told, when I don't think you were here, maybe you were, I don't care what fuel price is, I'm not gonna fly my airplane empty. It just doesn't work.
Right.
So,
Okay. All right, let's see what we can get done.
All right.
You're welcome.
nice meeting you.
You too.
Okay. We up for anything else? Any other discussion? Okay, let's set the next meeting. When?
Well, I gotta have it before the end of the, how long is it gonna take you to get done? How about the 25th?
Just, well, I'm not going anywhere
Because
anyway.
nobody's gonna be here, so it's, we got the room.
You know, I probably would just say, if you guys are available this time next Monday, the
Okay.
21st. That way it doesn't, I mean, if there are any plans for, is that, I don't know what that works for everyone else.
I gotta check my freight schedule and see.
I can't make Monday, but
You can't make it next Monday? Okay.
Oh.
I don't know when I'm gonna try to do it. Maybe the 20th. Does the 22nd work better? Or do you guys wanna just kind of go through this via email and set the next meeting? After people check schedules.
That may be the way to do it. I think that I'll be available whenever you decide to do it. As long as it's not like 2:00 in the morning.
I would do it just to get it done if it took that. But
22nd's good for me.
That's better for you.
Okay.
You wanna check their schedule?
that's
I gotta see
Tuesday.
what freight schedule we've got.
Well, we'll confirm, once Craig gets back to us with his fuel, with his freight schedule.
Okay.
That way, at least the four of you can be here. And if not, at least call in, or we can do Zoom, or however you prefer it, if you can't be here in person, or.
Okay.
So now that we've approved these other two, will they be here on the next meeting?
Well, they can be, if the commission approves it tomorrow night, at their meeting.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, that's good. That would be fine. Okay.
More the merrier. More input we have.
Okay, anything else? Anything else we need to discuss? Okay.
Motion that we
Yeah.
adjourn.
I'll second it.
I made the motion.
Okay.
We adjourn. I'm sorry I didn't say that.
That's okay.
It's my mask.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there we go.
All right, Jerry, so what's the name of the strip park?
Thank you, guys.